Often just these binary requirements for a job, they just knock me out. If someone has a master's degree or whatever the case, it doesn't have to be an MBA. They have 32 years experience running complex organizations, but they don't have the MBA specifically. What you potentially can end up with is somebody with an MBA and 11 years experience. I really hope these things don't get applied in this way, because it bears no relationship with the real world of work. That is why there's also something called recognition of prior learning and all of these kind of things. I really hope we don't do these binary things where you say, usually it says MBA or equivalent. That's acceptable, right? So I'm hoping that we don't get into binaries. Thank you. It's just a comment.
No, Chair, you are quite correct. I think that's one of the issues we have actually raised, and National Treasury has since considered the very issues that we are raising. Chair, there was a matter of the ghost workers. Chair, we have actually referred the matters to the law enforcement officers. Now, there was a question, what is the case number? You would know, Chair, that the case number will only come once the arrests have been made. Now it's in the process of the investigation, and that's why...
No, I think there's an error there. So the case number you get typically the next day, you lay a charge, then you submit your statement, and then they will... Oh, you mean the court case number?
No, let me...
Which case number?
Let me indicate. I'm not sure if they were asking about the case number in terms of having... referred the matter to the police opening a formal criminal charges. But we have handed over the files to say, this is what we have discovered in the municipality. We had employees who were on the payroll of the municipality, but were not working effectively for the municipality. So we have even gone to the extent of meeting with the NPA, where they said to us, it will be difficult for us to prosecute on these matters because certain aspects are not actually clarified. So we had to actually give evidence of additional information that would enable them. But where there is a formal case number, we will provide the committee with such. But we have not been provided with the case number because we did not have a process where we opened criminal charges. We handed the files to them and said, we suspect the foul play because the names of these people, perhaps the reason why it got delayed. And last week, we
Can you and I just have a very quick exchange just to untangle this thing? Who did you complain to? Who did you lay the complaint with?
We took the file over to the NPA. Not the NPA, the Hawks, I'm sorry.
Okay. The Hawks were supposed to then register a case because the Hawks are a division of the SAPS. Then what you are supposed to get is a CAS number. So you'll get CAS some number / the year or the date, a date. That's what you get. Did you get that?
Not as yet. We have not received that.
When did you lay the complaint with them?
It was in 2024, I think around June.
Your case does not exist. I can tell you, your case does not exist. It's not in the books.
Well, let me explain one thing that the committee must be aware of, Chair. When we discovered this, already we stopped the salaries of those who were...
No. I'm not there. Bear with me. I'm not there. I am simply talking about a police administrative issue. That's all. So you can address this at another time. Yes. I am saying the Hawks should have given you a case number for the case. If they have not yet done so, it means a clerk somewhere there has not put their fingers on a keyboard and registered the thing. You guys are just having a nice conversation with them.
There could be a case number, but I have not been provided with. Because remember, Chair, the issues relating to opening of criminal charges is the authority of the municipal manager. But I will check even during this meeting and provide in case.
Please do.
But what I wanted to say, while we're dealing with that particular matter, the 3 affected employees actually took us to court to say we have actually terminated their salaries. And it's a matter that we finalized last week at the bargaining council, and the ruling is in our favor because the last hearing, they did not appear. Being aware that they are being looked by the South African Police Services or the Hawks. What actually happened, these 3 members were the members of the South African National Defence Force. And upon realizing these matters, when the Hawks were looking for them, they were found to be in Rwanda. And they only, in Rwanda, is it in Rwanda? Yeah, not in Rwanda, in Kigali, in DRC. I'm sorry, in DRC. And they came back, and the police are actually following on their trails and will provide the latest developments on the matter. But when we met with the NPA, there were issues that were raised, so we provided additional information to that. Let me come to this one of the specialists. The specialists are appointed at level 3, which is the level of the manager. And these are the positions that exist in the structure, and they have been job evaluated to determine the correct level for those positions. So yes, our recruitment policy provide for an emergency recruitment. Remember, after the city manager was appointed and subsequently we were appointed, there were a number of challenges facing the municipality around revenue collection, since the municipality was still under the national intervention. And I think after having looked, because after having looked at the audit outcome and what were the issues affecting the municipality's cash liquidity, then he suggested that on the following areas, I need to get people who will then advise me further on those things. And that's why we have those specialists. They are not permanently employed. They were employed on contract to fulfill specific mandate, like the one of service delivery, revenue specialist, to advise the city manager directly on those things. And these are the positions that exist on the organogram or the structure. The environmental officer is one of them. Remember the issues that were actually raised around the findings on our landfill site. But the environmental officer is a person who used to work for the university as a lecturer to most of the environmental officers that we have in the institution. The only problem there, Chair, she could not sign off certain things because she's not registered with the Health Professional Council of South Africa. But she has got the in-depth knowledge on the issues of environmental. Yes, there's a question on the person who was also recruited on contract, the legal officer. When we advertise the positions, and you can check, Chair, a number of municipalities are using some of those bad lawyers. Our recommendation does not say you must be registered with the legal practice council, because municipalities don't appear before the court. Because the person who has been bad by the legal practice council is not allowed to practice in court, but can also provide legal advice on certain measures. And I can tell the incumbent in that position is one of the best performing legal advisors in the municipality. Thank you.
Okay, so can I just say, is it possible for us to get like straight answers? Because I must tell you, I have now got lost in. So which question are you answering with this last comment?
Chair, it was said, but Honorable asked the question.
Honorable Ment.
Yes, ask the question. We have got a legal officer who's actually been barred by the LPC. Yes. So that was the one I'm responding to.
Okay, it's very simple. Do you have a legal officer who's been struck off by the LPC?
Yes, we do.
Okay. You then need to then explain why you do. These things about the other things that you were saying are really not relevant, and that really beg you, colleagues, answer questions in that way. We will be out of here in time. I can tell you now it's going to be 1 o'clock soon, because the answers are unnecessarily long. Can we answer the question like that? So why do you have somebody who's been struck by the LPC? Is there something that allows you to do this? Is it a regulation? Is it a law? Why are you comfortable with this situation? That's the essence of Honorable Mente's question.
Because our recruitment policy, including the municipal staff regulation, does not put registration with the LPC as a requirement.
Okay, did you look into the reasons why the person was struck off?
Well, the reasons were that when we looked at the register of those who have been struck off the roll, the reason was that he mismanaged the what do you call the trust
Client
account,
trust.
the trust account. Yes.
And you were comfortable hiring somebody who had mismanaged client funds?
Look, Chair, the person was already, when we were employed, was already the municipality. That's the whole thing, but it's on contract.
No, but of course you can review that appointment, right? If you find something that has been done wrong before, your hands are not tied. That is the whole point of a new mayor and a new city manager and so on, to fix problems. You can't get there and say, I can't do anything about it. It was damaged before. Do you see why it's important to answer questions in a direct way? Because that is now the question. Why are you comfortable keeping in the organization somebody who mismanaged client funds, was struck off the roll of attorneys, and you have not done anything about it to rectify the situation? That is the question. Why aren't you doing something about it upon discovering the problem?
Chair, as per what you are saying now, I think it's something that we'll have to consider, but knowing very well that there was nothing that limits us or that says, or the legal process that we had to follow, but it's something that we'll have to consider, and maybe in the next meeting when we appear, we will be able to provide the details in that regard.
Okay, so you're going to get a chance for a follow-up anyway, Honorable Member. Can you quickly go through the members' questions, and then the members will ask follow-ups, and then we can go to the rest of the members.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. And I just want to add to the questions that the executive mayor responded. I think it didn't add that to Honorable Mente, that we do have an acting CEO of SANDF, which is Mempo Mulimela, which was really appointed by the council. And we do have EDs in SANDF, which is doing a day-to-day work. As we speak, we do have leadership in SANDF while we are busy processing the issue of the appointment of the CE, as the executive mayor alluded. Chair, I just want to get a guidance to you. That is it parliamentary that I must respond to the issues that are in the social media. If it's so, I can do that. Respond, because Honorable Kubeka asked me about the allegations that were in the social media.
Look, what's better is that a member puts an allegation to you to give you an opportunity to refute it, because it might be the only chance you ever get to deal with the issue. Otherwise, it floats there on social media and it attaches to your name. You understand? So it's not about being parliamentary. What wouldn't have worked is for a member not to give you a chance to deal with the matter.
No, thank you very much, Chair. I just want only that clarity. Chairperson, yes, there were allegations that were running around social media. I just want to inform the members of the committee that yes, my husband, I met him before I even remember that I would be a councillor. I get married in 2007, 5 of February. The poster that was running around, it was 2 years ago when we are celebrating our anniversary. I don't know why they were putting it now, but in terms of the issues of the corruption, I even write the statement that I request everyone who have any things that are directed to me, even my husband, to go and open a case. I don't even have any case. I started to be a councillor in 2011 until today without being go to court or being summoned anywhere regarding the issues of corruption, of any misuse of citizens' money or the municipality money. And I'm also not involved in the issues of supply chain. You know, in terms of the MFMA, no councillor must be involved on the issues that are in supply chain, unless if we're in MMC or finance, as I am, if I'm doing my own oversight regarding the issues, but I'm not part of all of those issues that they raise. My husband is not Eric, my husband is Phil, as it was indicated in the social media. But as I'm speaking now, there is no case, there is no summon where it's directed to me, even to my husband, that I must appear to any law enforcement agency. Thank you very much, Chair.
All right. No, thank you very much. That you've placed that on record, so that's fine. Okay. Is there any other question that hadn't been answered?
There are, Chairperson. Thank you. The first question that came is on the withholding of grants and the misuse, and that is linked to the audit in the management report where AG says there is a likelihood that the grants that are allocated to the city are not used for the intended purpose. Now, the executive mayor instructed that I should start with the performance of the city on grants as the 30 June 2025, where USDG was 100% spent and ISUPG was sitting at 83% spending. We applied for rollover and we got in 17 million of ISUPG that was not spent in 2024-2025, and we are implementing those projects. Now, with regards to the withholding of grants, it is a process of National Treasury where they are looking at your performance in month 5 of the financial year, which is November. And based on that performance, they normally do the review, look at your full year forecast, and if there's likelihood that you will underspend on that grant, then the midterm review of the division of revenue happens, and the grants get reviewed and portion gets withheld based on that assessment. So it is a normal process, and indeed in the report we provided, we have shown the amounts that were withheld in February of each of the 3 years we are reporting on in this committee. And for 25-26, as we would know, there hasn't been any grants that were withheld by National Treasury to municipalities. Now, coming on the spending of grants not for the intended purpose. Now, this happens under USDG, to be specific with regards to the finding of AG, which, according to them, the USDG is appropriated to an extent that over 65% of that grant must be utilized on trading services, which is your water, electricity, sanitation, and refuse removal. Under these trading services, we've got various projects that are either an upgrade of an existing asset or an acquisition of an existing asset. Now, portion of this grant is utilized for the refurbishment, of which when AG assesses, it borders between maintenance and upgrade. That is the thing that is leading them to conclude that it may not have been utilized for the intended purposes because the nature of the works done relates more to maintenance than to upgrade. And it is really an issue of the interpretation, because from the side of Treasury, we give them the monthly progress report on the projects. But with the trading services reforms, Chairperson, I think that matter will be cleared that AG is suspicious of, because the projects that must be implemented under UDFG must be pre-approved by National Treasury for them to look at the nature of works you're going to do and whether they are aligning with the objectives of the grant. And by so doing, if it's pre-approved by Treasury, then we believe that the issues surrounding whether it is maintenance or refurbishment would have been resolved. But that is the status of things where refurbishment is likely maintenance, and from our side, in terms of definitions, we categorize it under refurbishment, and we're reporting that expenditure under refurbishment. Then I will, maybe the CM will touch on the organogram issues, but Dr. Duma has touched on overtime. I think the issue that is remaining here is the percentage we are spending. If you look at the employee-related cost and the portion of overtime of 16%, and the fact that you are sitting with a qualification, and that qualification is really on the reasons that led to the working of overtime. And that's where the problem is, Chairperson, because the people that are claiming overtime are not providing sufficient documentation. And I think in this meeting we have spoken in detail on the material irregularity that has arisen from overtime that is showing all these challenges that we have. So the long and the short of it, the challenge remains of overtime. And in the action plan, we have given the progress that we are making to date, and there is further progress that we are coming up from the 1st of July. And I think the position we are holding as a municipality is that whatever change you want to bring in overtime, it should not lead to instability. And we are trying to manage all these changes that are coming in to ensure that there is work done on the ground, we deal with the disputes and ensure that everybody is on the same page. We had a big problem of people that are passing the threshold because they feel that I'm working overtime, but the law says if I'm at this level, then I can't earn overtime. And they would like to leave the site on the grounds that they are exceeding thresholds. Those are the day-to-day challenges that we're experiencing. And we will elevate these issues in right platforms to say, probably, let's look at this threshold. How did you come about with it? Because the supervisor must be with these people. The threshold makes him not qualifying for overtime. But we are dealing with those issues, Chairperson, and we will find a resolve at the end of the day on them. Then I would like to touch on the trade waste and the termination of contracts. Chairperson, here is the issue. We've awarded a tender. They took over the site. They are collecting refuse. Around November, 4 months down the line, we're hearing that the two bidders are being alleged of fraud and corruption by a whistleblower to SIU, not to the municipality. Now, the SIU, I reported in this meeting, they called some of us involved in the bidding processes to take the statement. And I said in the meeting, we are not sure exactly what are the allegations leveled against these two bidders. One was arrested in November, the other one was arrested in February, but they are both out on bail. Now, they are out on bail. We are not aware of the allegations leveled on them. We engage SIU to say, these people have been arrested. What are the allegations? They say, no, we can't disclose that information to you. But I said to this committee, based on the questions that they asked me when they taken the statement, they were saying, what is your process of verifying the letters that people are submitting? That is reference letters, because normally in the bid would request you to provide 5 letters of reference that you've done this work before. So these allegations seems to be surrounding the referral letters that they submitted, and that they are still being investigated. They have not been found guilty as yet. The case is not even on trial at this point in time. It is still under investigation. It is on those grounds then that from the side of the city, because we don't know who's the whistleblower, what the issue is all about, that if we terminate the contract, we may sit with a challenge on what grounds are we going to put to these people as reasons for termination. And that is the challenge. We also alluded to the agreement that we have with these people, that in a case of a dispute, there must be a dispute lodged. Now, we can't raise a dispute to say, we have seen in the newspapers that you have been arrested, you are out on bail, and it seems that your arrest is got to do with a tender awarded to you. It becomes a difficult situation. But what we are holding on to, Chairperson, is that as soon as the matter gets trial, they are found guilty. Remember, the Hawks can approach the High Court again on the grounds of preservation order and to access their assets and recover whatever financial loss that the municipality has suffered. Now, they came to me personally after we came to this meeting, and they said, look, you responded to this question, but we can get a sense that there's an expectation that you should have terminated their contract. And they said, we don't have the provisions that would allow you to terminate upon arrest, because still an allegation, it has not been proven to be true. Therefore, the only thing, it was also like an advice, what we advise you in future, if these things happens, go to court and apply for the termination or the suspension of that contract. But now the challenge with the suspension of contract is that if they win the case, that the allegation is unfounded, you will be sitting with a financial loss claim against you for the duration that that contract has been suspended. So it is that situation that we're sitting with, and we can't even blacklist them until the outcome of the court. So it is as complicated as that. Let me see if there's any last question on my side that I need to report to. I think there was a question on the debt impairment and the movement year on year that came. The debt impairment come as a result when you prepare the financial statements. You're looking at your gross debtors, and you're looking at the likelihood of those gross debtors to be paid. And if the likelihood diminishes or it is showing some doubtfulness, you have to impair even more. So it comes on assessment of the payment culture, the activity that is happening on that account, and on an annual basis, the provision that you are making increases because more people start defaulting on their accounts. Then they must be they form part of the assumptions for the non-payment of that account. So it comes from the fact that the ratio of collection is a challenge that we've spoken about, and that when you do the annual assessment at the end of the year, then you have to look at all those principles. And therefore, you are seeing this 2.3 billion that has increased by 560 million into about 2.8 billion provision for 2025. That is the status. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I'll talk to a few issues and I'll go straight to the point. The issue of the organogram, I want to correlate it to the issue of understaffing or the high vacancy raised by Honorable Kubeka. And I would say that as we are reviewing the organogram of the municipality, which was also presented to Council, we are dealing with a top-heavy structure, which had fully funded vacancies at the top, but serious number of vacancies at the bottom. So this structure is likely to give us funds that are needed to deal with the operations of the city. But we have started gradually dealing with the vacancies at the lower level. So it's something that we inherited. It will not happen overnight. It involves a lot of issues, labor issues and other issues. But we have presented that draft, and the council said in this resolution that we may, after 3 months, look at the review of the structure. So there is an organogram that we also submitted. But there are various other, because we're engaging with labor, I always say that local government is highly regulated. Sometimes we want to take decisions here and now, but there are lots of regulations that are dealing with issues in relation to labor at the municipality. We have tried, or we are engaging with labor on technologies that will help us also deal with the issue of overtime. But why I was talking about correlation between overtime and vacancy rate, it means we are indeed forced to do overtime because we have shortage of staff. We are addressing it bit by bit. We have advertised for some general workers which we are hoping to fill. That will enhance our implementation of the shift system, but also issues of tools of trade. We have just finalized on that. So there is that correlation. You are correct, Honorable Kubeka. Vacancy rate is high, not only at technical services, but across the board. So we are realizing savings as we cut the top part of the structure, which we are going to divert to the lower levels. But we are also cutting out contracted workers because contracted work also takes a lot of money from us. So as we introduce the capacity or the tools of trade, we are going to do a reduction in terms of the contracted workers. So some of the work will be done by our workers, so which will challenge us actually to improve our recruitment, particularly at operational level. So we are dealing with a legacy of quite a long time. So we are trying to address it bit by bit, including on the contradictions also posed by the law in terms of how we are dealing with our employees. Thanks very much.